Hello, 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 hello. Looks like we have a few people joining us already. This always works best if we have questions. But doing this, fake excuse is Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, which I do have some deals on my course. But more or less using this as like a sort of way to relaunch some of the things I'm doing and plan on doing more live sessions like this with people. Generally, just want to help people for free for fun because I more or less get a kick out of this. I get to use my brain and things like that. But yeah, excited to hear what's on people's mind, what people want to talk about. I'm willing to talk about anything, like literally up to like you emailing me slides. I can put them up on the screen and critique them. Paul at strategyu.co if you want to do that. If you want to break into consulting, always happy to talk about that. It's not my favorite topic, but there are a lot of you that seem to be interested in that. Um, Happy to highlight some of the deals I have going on some of the courses um, and all that. What what's on people's minds? Otherwise, I can just start riffing on random topics. Um, let's see. I will also paste some of the discounts um, in the chat. Um, let's see. It looks like we got six. Hey, Daniel. Yeah, excited. Appreciate you purchasing. Um, Always remind people there's a 30-day money back on the course. Mostly, I just want people to apply and learn these skills. Um, yeah, if it's not, just ask for a refund, as you should with anything you buy on the internet. Um, the course I have works best with people that are like ready to just implement this stuff in the work they're doing. Any questions you have, Daniel? Happy to answer them for you. Um, what kind of skills does the course cover? Good question. So a lot of the stuff I cover in the videos on this channel and on my website, you could sort of piece together some of the ideas. The difference with the course is like it takes it through a structured approach. So um, I've sort of developed this idea of like a consulting process. I could probably just pull up some slides, which I will do. I'll pull up some slides around the consulting process that might be interesting to people. Let's see. Shoot. Process. Yeah, I think I got to pull it up in Figma, which I've been using more. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll talk about frameworks in a second, Daniel. Um, let's see. All right, so we are going to use slides. Share screen. Share my second screen. Yeah, so this is sort of like how I think about um consulting skills, or yeah, applying these skills, which is sort of like throughout a project or a process. So this could be mapped to like a 3-month project, or it could be mapped to basically something you're going to do over a few hours. But basically, there are these two modes, and everyone has like one tendency. People either are top down thinkers, these are the people that like need to have a plan, they need to have a direction, they need to know how things are going to look when they end. I am not one of these people. I am a bottom up person. I am somebody that's like, ooh, huge data sets. Let me dive in. Let me get into the data. Let me see what I can figure out from those skills. And basically, the consulting process is the ability to shift in between these two different modes. Now, what is the challenge with that? The challenge is if you're a bottom up thinker, going up into the top down mode is hard. Basically, what you're doing is generating a bunch of information and then trying to make sense of it and synthesizing it at a higher level of abstraction. What that means is you're taking a bunch of information and saying the same thing, but with simpler language, but still trying to capture the essence of what you're saying. And that's basically the art of like what I'm trying to teach in this course. Now, if you're more of a top down thinker and your skill is like needing to do the bottom up thinking, that's probably a harder shift because if you don't like data, it's just going to be really hard to get excited about enormous amounts of data and research, right? And a lot of those problems can be solved by just literally spending more time on research and organizing information, which some people like to do or don't like to do. Now, in team environments, you basically just want to make sure that you are have different skill sets in these different modes. But as you rise in an organization, basically you need to have both of these modes, right? So things you do across these modes, at the beginning you're defining the problem and understanding the current state. You're then collecting and exploring initial data and identifying patterns. You're then like structuring the information, revisiting the problem definition and hypotheses, and at the end you're confirming the final message and story. And basically, in my course, I give people like frameworks and tools for how to do this, right? And you're basically shifting in between these back and forth modes. How do I structure, take a step back, figure out what I have, go back in, get more data and information, and keep refining that. Um, so that's sort of like a high level. I can get pretty nerdy pretty quick. But my course is basically an attempt of like putting this all in one place, putting it in the right sequence, and then giving you assignments, which are sort of hard to help you practice these skills. When you're first learning this stuff, it's uncomfortable and you pretty much like want to run. But like figuring out how to like dive into those things is really what um, makes people stand out. Let me see if I can just paste these in. Mm. So, yeah, so frameworks are great. I opened up a lecture for free. Anyone can watch this lecture on frameworks, and it comes with a free download. I'll paste that link in as well. Um, Frameworks are sort of like portals, I think of. Um, Let me just paste this in. Frameworks are sort of like portals into your way of seeing the world. Now, the biggest challenge people make, the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to communicate information is that they think the audience understands where they're coming from. They understand the context. And I call this the illusion of transparency. This is a psychological term. And it's basically the belief that like others understand what's going on in our head. Others have like little to no clue what's going on in your head. And your job is to give them on ramps into your way of seeing the world, right? So frameworks are that higher level of abstraction. That's the top down mode I was talking about earlier of letting people into that, right? There's many frameworks. Have you seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maslow's hierarchy of needs has like a pyramid. Pyramids are vertical, or pyramids are like move to the top. As you move to the top, your brain sort of says top important, right? So then you're like starting to the bottom and you sort of have this idea of like stacking phases, right? That's basically what you're doing with most frameworks. Um, Let me see if I can pull up some slides on frameworks. There is no time limit. Lifetime access. Um, I plan on being a solo creator for a long time, so should have access for a while. Realistically, can I promise like these will still be up and running in 15 years? No, but like lifetime in sort of like indefinitely. Um, so you should be fine. Let me pull open some slides. So, oops. Yeah. So, frameworks, some simple ways of using frameworks, like why to use them, simplify large amounts of info, bridge from the complex to simple, ways to quickly get buy in from an audience, right? So, here's one I love. Let me just pop this to a slideshow. Um, yeah, so here's one I love, right? This is Pepsi's strategy. This is what the board of directors of Pepsi, a several billion-dollar company, massive, organizes around, right? So everyone in that company knows, how does my initiative map to Pepsi's strategic goals? Faster, stronger, better. People are often shocked at how simple this is, but in my experience working at this level, simpler is better, right? So you'll have like super simple, then like below faster, there might be like five, six key themes. Maybe there's an executive in charge of those ideas. And then under that might be hundreds of initiatives, right? But the key is like starting with like, okay, what is the Pepsi way? What are we organizing around? What are we focused on for the next 3 to 5 years? And this is really the power of frameworks, right? Over time, you can start with like your own. Let me see. Yeah. So I have a download in that lecture. Yeah, the one I just linked, this one. You can download this, and these are just like different ideas and simple models of like frameworks to use. Over time, basically, consultants start generating their own and just coming up with good ways of remixing data. And you're sort of like, it's a lot of trial and error. Um, but yeah, let's see. What are my go to learning resources? For me, um, I don't really have like an aim at learning resources. Like, I think some of the work I do coaching with companies and executives around these skills. I learn a lot from those. I love those because it sort of like challenges me to come up with new ways of explaining things, new concepts, new frames, even new coin terms to help people understand these ideas. I learn a lot from that. So learning by doing. Um, Others are just books. I'm sort of an insatiable reader. I probably read 10 to 20 hours a week, which I guess is rare in today's world, but do that. And then writing is a big one for me. Writing forces me to help to like synthesize the ideas I know and try to make sense of them. Um, let's see. Yeah, so theory is a waste of time. Hot take, but I don't want people to understand these ideas. Many people have read the pyramid principle or claim to have read the book. It's kind of hard to read in depth. There's just a lot of material there. I don't want people to understand deeply. I want people to understand at like an 80-20 level and then quickly go and implement stuff because that's where the real learning happens. It's taking a rough mental model of what you know and then going into the world and trying to practically do something, right? If you have a mental model of like, okay, I have enough speed to jump over this stretch of something, you go do it. You don't clear that stretch. You need to then go back and update your thinking. What did I get wrong? Am I going fast enough? Do I have this capability in me, etc. Um, Same thing. Pyramid principle. I want you to understand the basics and then quickly go and apply it. That's what the homework's for in my course. I want you to quickly realize, oh, this is harder than I thought. This is where I'm struggling. Come back to me for feedback and iterate. Iteration, practicing, and like what they call deliberate feedback or deliberate practice. That's where you want to be. That's the sweet spot. I think I already answered this. Um, What books would you recommend? Need more? Specifically what kind of books? I know plenty of books. I've thought of writing a book called Think Like a Strategy Consultant, but just sort of have had too much going on. Um, but yeah, would love to hear what specific kind of books you're looking for. Yeah, and yeah, any other questions about consulting, getting jobs, interviewing? Um, Really just happy to talk about anything. I also have like written a book. I'm a creator online. I write consistently. I do a lot of random stuff. I haven't taken the traditional career path, so happy to talk about any of that as well. Um, yeah. Deals. Yeah, I think. I mean, Lords of Strategy is a good like background on the industry and history. That can be pretty interesting. That's kind of like a liar's poker of consulting, but less like entertaining. That could be a good book. The McKinsey books are fine. Marvin Bauer book by Elizabeth Edersheim might be interesting. That's if you're trying to learn about consulting. I think like generally is like to learn about consulting, you sort of want to get in a consulting role. So either corporate strategy inside a company, or in a consultative role inside a company, so like an internal advisory or audit group, or a freelancer. You can do freelance projects on your own. That's often a great way to learn, especially just like the nitty gritty of like what does a consultant actually do. Um, Go reach out to a company and say, "Hey, I want to get some experience consulting. Can I do this for you for free?" All I'm asking for is like feedback and just like help me. I'm going to figure it out along the way and just like raise the stakes to kind of learn on your own. I I work for no, I'm not a speed reader. I just work for myself and left the full-time strategy consulting world, so I just have a lot more time and flexibility now. Um, I don't make as much as I used to or could if I was working in a full-time role. So I sort of just optimize around my curiosity and learning. Like those things give me so much energy and I've really just tried to design a life around those things. So I don't know how to do it if I was working a full-time job, but um it's not really something I have to think about. I just love reading and like exploring topics. I've always been this way. So it's sort of an innate thing. Um, no worries. But Daniel's saying, other people, please ask questions. We have a few now. We have, oh, yeah, we have, awesome. We have Hassan, we have Andrew, we have Daniel, we have Alex. Who else? Just say hi. Just drop your favorite emoji, drop what you had for breakfast in the chat. Just trying to liven this up a little. Um, I think this is the most people I've had like live, 11 people, which is pretty cool. Um, I find that I'm so inundated with work and family. Yeah, so I I think like one thing more people should do is quit books quickly. Right? If you're not interested in a book, like the book is not capturing you, just stop reading it. Like too many people start with like I should learn this. I should learn X. If it's not calling to you, like just abandon. All the things I've learned in my life, I've been like super excited about going deep on, and like nothing was going to stop me. those kind of things, it always seems like you can find the time. Also, big caveat, I don't have kids yet. I will have kids next year. So I imagine um, I'm just going to lose a lot of reading time. Paid summer business related internships. Finance major at a state school, very similar situation to me. You're this is perfect now. What year are you? DSD? Um, I think what I did, I landed a job at my dad's company and sort of prepared. The way I did this was like I sort of prepared a cover letter and my resume and like wrote what I was interested in learning and what I was good at and what had to offer. Basically, a lot of companies are looking for like cheap help. So lean on that and just like communicate that to a lot of people. Freshman's great. Can be hard to get a paid internship. um, if you're super motivated, there are often people like me that like would gladly love to hire and pay for people. But what a lot of people I find in college are looking for is like that brand name credibility. I can't give people that. But if people are like sort of self driven and motivated and a little more entrepreneurial, there are plenty of people like me. You can email me even like if you're that kind of person. And like I have other people who would like gladly hire somebody who's driven and curious. Um, Otherwise, just reach out to people. Oftentimes, it can be like you want to start reaching out to people now because people might have internship programs. Um, Also, in the spring, a lot of like the super driven people have landed internships, and companies are like, "Oh, we have budget in May to hire somebody in June." But nobody's available. That's when you want to like be reaching out to companies, reach out to HR people. Be very clear with your story. You want to know here are the three things I'm good at. Here's some evidence of that. You don't have a lot of evidence so far, but like here are the three things I'm good at. Here's some evidence of that. I'd love to engage. I'm willing to like I'm not super driven by money. I'm motivated by learning. That's the sort of approach I would take. All right. Coming in 22 minutes. My voice is getting a little sore. Um, what other questions do you have for me? Oh, nice. Hassan, just saw you purchase the bundle. I will send you the course access right now while we're on the call. Pumped for that. The freelance course is pretty cool. I just haven't done a good job sharing it, but it's definitely more like okay, people who are freelancing or want to experiment with that. Um, Thank you, Hassan. Big fan. And of course, if you don't find these things valuable, simple email to me and say I'd like a refund. Wasn't a fit for me. Not a big deal. I refund people. Um, Honestly, people could scam me with that, but no big deal. I rather be overly generous in this world than trying to make as much money as possible. Um, Applicable to you think this is what do you mean by that? Consulting skills very applicable. Um, the skills of management thinking, especially outside of like the U.S., Britain, Australia, are not great on average. So even bigger ability to help. I think a big challenge with these skills I'm teaching is like a lot of companies don't value deeper thinking or excellent work. They just want people to like put their head down and do their work. One, try to get out of those kind of companies. But two, like finding people in your companies that are aiming high, are trying to do great work. Often former consultants, you can search on LinkedIn if you have people in your companies that are former McKinsey, Bain, BCG people, Deloitte, etc. Um, but yeah, um, just try to find the people that care. That is one of the biggest pieces of feedback I have. um, yeah, work in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Middle East. I'm familiar with Taiwan. Lived there for 2 years. But also like don't know the Middle East as much. I know like they appreciate some of the Western business culture a little more, especially in the expat world. I know a few consultants that work out there. But yeah, Hong Kong and Taiwan, I mean, a lot of just like cultural baggage of like how things should work. Ah, nice. Daan. Nice. I used to live in Nangang. Nangang, and then yeah, I think we lived in Da'an too, but also lived a bit in like Hualien and Taichung. Um, strategy. I don't know. I'm sort of driven to create this because like sometimes I look at the other ones and I'm like, all right, I can go deeper. I might be the biggest nerd on this platform. Trying to think. I one there's this one guy, Mark Pollard. He has some good stuff. Um, yeah, Sweathead strategy. See, the thing about strategy is like it sounds super complex, it's super fancy. Reality, it's not. Like strategy is basically just making like probabilistic bets on the future in some sort of framework, right? Pepsi's doing that with like we think the future is going to continue to grow with like beverages, healthier foods, things like that. Simple language, clear bets. What are the probabilities of success? And that's a lot of what you're trying to do as a consultant is like help companies raise their odds of success. How can we do deeper analysis such that we can have like 80% confidence about this path in the future as opposed to 60%? The future is unknown. Yeah, they're good. The thing is like about strategy, you basically want to read like biographies about business leaders and how they think. Um, you learn more reading like some stuff in the tech world, like Paul Graham essays, than other people covering consulting. My issue with a lot of like the consulting coverage is like a lot of it's around like case interviews and helping people break into the industry. I don't do that mostly because I don't find it super interesting. Um, but yeah, the people I learned from are this guy Mark Pollard is good. Um, Ribbon Farm, Venkatesh Rao's writing is excellent. Um, I'm gonna link an article um, from Venkatesh Rao. It's called "CEOs Don't Steer." This article was great on strategy. Also, um, the Gervais principle. The Gervais principle will teach you more about organizational dynamics than pretty much anything else. Like the things that look like strategy thinking are not actually strategy thinking. Strategy thinking at the high level is often as much about politics, language, and communications than it is about like business analysis. So, like, you could learn more about strategy studying like persuasion principles. And that's why I teach communication and lean on it so heavily. If you want to learn about the art of consulting, like Venkatesh Rao, Mark Pollard, Tom Crinchlow are the best. I actually just published a um, video with Venkatesh Rao last week, which is pretty good. Art of strategy. Yeah, game theory. Exactly. If you want to learn about strategy, like game theory, like game theory is amazing. And if you can understand things like multipolar traps, um, yeah, Cialdini also awesome. But if you can understand, like, okay, strategy, if we enter this domain, what will other people do? Right. OODA loop thinking is super valuable too. Um, Venkatesh writes a lot about that. Tom Critchlow as well. Um, he writes a lot about consulting. I'll link up. He's working on a book. I hope he publishes it soon. Um, But yeah, Venkatesh Rao's book, Art of Gig, I just got copies of those and interviewed him about them in that video. But thank Tom Critchlow is awesome. And like, I really think this is like part of a big shift. Um, Internet first creators, people writing on the internet, are basically in sync with the future of like how institutions, organizations are thinking. Because I think the future of work looks more like weird businesses emerging from like newsletters and YouTube channels than like GE of 2020 or 2000, right? But most of the industrial business world makes most of their money serving businesses that look like GE from 20 years ago. So like they're just like when you read their stuff, like places like McKinsey and BCG, their thinking is just like a little outdated. The term I've come up with to talk about this is I call it too big to think. Like basically these organizations like aren't aligned with the cutting edge anymore. So strategy is like being reshapen and it's faster paced, it's more game theory, it's more like all these things that are emerging. Whew. I'm going to grab a beverage. I'll be right back. My throat is getting dry. Alrighty. What else do we have? Art of strategy. This looks interesting. I'm going to. Yeah, this looks like a cool book. Practical insights and reading. Nice. What's up, Evan? Um, what other questions do you have? Let's see what else we have. Awesome. Well, if things are dying down, um, let's see. House of Lies. Um, I think I watched the first episode, but there's something around like maybe this is like how lawyers feel if they're watching Suits. Like consulting is in actuality is so boring that it was like I can't watch this. Like, if you were to film a show about consultants, they'd basically just be sitting here like this, editing slides for like 10 hours and emails and back and forth. They're like sitting in a team room and like pressure testing a problem statement for like 2 hours. Um, I think in the pilot, the main guy hooked up with like three people. I was like, this is not consultants, but um yeah, I should check out the book. Maybe I should do a video and like my reaction to it. I didn't realize there was a book. Yeah. Um, but it was like I didn't want to watch a show about consulting. It's like it just made me think about consulting and like sitting in front of a computer and doing endless amounts of slides. I don't want to think about that. All right. I think I am going to call it for today. This was fun. Subscribe to the channel. over here. I don't know. There we go. But yeah, subscribe, um, sign up for alerts, share the videos, email me anytime if you have questions. I love engaging with people on these things, and it helps me learn and keep doing what I'm doing. Um, Quick answer here. Whiteboarding and diagramming. Biggest thing is like the mindset of people. Like it's really hard to find people that actually know how to give feedback. Like what I always tell people is yes and, right? How do we take this to the next level? Um, it's too many people. Give me feedback on this. Oh, I think this is like, I think this is wrong. I don't think this is good. Worthless. Don't ever give feedback like that. Give feedback on like what somebody can do to take it to the next level. So like two additional ways of things you would do, ways of improving their thing, ways of building on. And a way to start that is say like, "Hey, are you open to feedback where I can like take this to the next level?" And sort of like anchoring people around like good intentions. That's my biggest piece of feedback. But yeah, freelance versus MBB. Um, I just did a video on this actually. So it's a more synthesized answer. I will link that up in a second. My voice is dying now. So I'm going to need to I need to like train for this. This is intense. Freelance versus consulting. I just did a video on this. So you can see my takeaways on those things. It's right there. But thank you. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the engagement. Um, if you want to sign up for my course, I am offering, um, oops, that is not the link. This link, yeah, it very much is improv. It's about loosening yourself up. Um, and like really learning to go with the flow. So many people are so attached to their ideas. I did this work, like it matters. It eventually what strategy consulting taught me is that like even if you spend 8 hours on it, working with other people who want to do great work will eventually help you make it better. And so it's iterations and like endless feedback loops that really make things valuable. Um, put things there. I am discounting the course. um, it's 350. I typically don't discount it throughout the year. Um, and we'll probably do this again next Black Friday, but the price may go up by then. The partner edition, where I give you customized feedback and have a 30-minute call with you, is $200 off. You can just use these codes. There's also codes for the payment plans in the email link. But yeah, appreciate everyone's questions and have a good week. Don't buy too much consumer plastic junk. Just buy online courses and things that inspire you and books. And if you don't spend money on my stuff, buy other people's stuff like reading books and things like that. I think that's the way to go. See you later.